Hey, Tommy Solo here. I'm in downtown Toronto. I just pulled up to Hugh's room where Marc Jordan is holding his official book release for The Rhythm of My Heart. I'm going to go inside and see what's cooking. Hi there. You should have me on the guest list, Tommy Solo.
Tommy?
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
I'm inside Hugh's room with the hardest working publicist in Canada, Eric Alpert.
Lies.
We are
He's
here.
already lying to you. How can you believe him? How can you follow this man? What?
It's the
Do you
insanity.
not?
Insanity abounds. But we're here for the official book release, Marc Jordan, The Rhythm of My Heart. And thank you very much for inviting me, Eric.
I
And,
didn't. Another lie. Who are you? What?
I think I'm gonna have to get out of here before they find out I'm here.
My heart beating like a drum. The words I love you rolling off my tongue. Never will I roam, 'cause I know my place is home, where the ocean meets the sky, how they say. Where the ocean meets the sky, that I'll be safe. Yeah, I'll be safe. There's a hotel in Paris where the windows look out to sea. So many people stay there, some dead and some like me. I saw Chet Baker's name on the wall of the restaurant, and Timothy Leary carved on the window in 503. It's night in Algeria, and it's midnight on the Midnight Express. It's all part of evolution, baby. Slow bomb of the world. I walked on the bricks of heaven, I saw the boats on the sand, met an old friend I used to talk to. The morning came, living with a man, and he paints stuff and he walks around town on cigarettes and magazines. And I know I lost what he has found. Slow down with the world, slow down. It's the fastest song I ever wrote. I got a deal with Warner Brothers. I got off the plane. They picked me up at the airport and take me to the hotel. And it was the Universal Sheraton Hotel in Universal City. Remember Johnny Carson show? That's where Johnny used to keep his guests, so I knew the hotel, right? And I went up to so it was the middle of winter here in Toronto. It was beautiful there. I looked out my window and there was this amazing swimming pool with all of the palm trees. I thought, I'll go down to the pool and have a swim. And I do most of my shopping in airports. And I picked up a very fashion-forward bathing suit just on the way down. And I slipped it on, I taped down my nipples and went down to the pool. And the first person I saw leaving the water as I was entering was Telly Savalas. You know what I'm talking about here. Big man, very pale. And sporting, shall I say, canary yellow Speedo. And at that moment, a voice, and you should always listen to this voice, said, a voice inside my head said, Mark, do not swim today. As I was, my eyes were riveted on his canary yellow Speedo. And I thought, perhaps I won't. And I went up, and on the highway, on the way to the hotel, I'd seen a sign that said XX at Marina Del Rey. So I went up to my hotel room, and I remembered that sign on the highway. And I wrote this song, fastest song I ever wrote in my life. Thank you, Telly.
Why the right?
Call Marina Del Rey. There was no story, living on the edge of history, lying face up in the sand brown water, can't see his green light. I'm living in Marina Del Rey, man, you better get a job, living off the sunny sea. Coming from the cold, dreaming drowning mind, going to the land of plenty, baby in a song, drinking Coca-Cola, writing the names of the sand. I spoke this shit, maybe paradise. Feel like pushing right. Oh, I'm living in a way. Man, you better get a job. Living off the sun and the sea.
Okay, so as you know, there's a book about Marc. And one might ask, why didn't Marc write his own book? And the answer is that Marc is is it okay if I say profoundly dyslexic?
Certainly.
Yeah, and so as much of a wordsmith as he is, writing his own book seemed daunting, and we knew each other pretty well and had made a lot of music together. And he thought, since I'd gotten away with writing a couple of other books, that maybe I'd be a good bet. And it turned into my COVID project, which was great to have when all the gigs got canceled in 2020. So I got to talk to Marc and then sort of talk to everybody I could find who he worked with of note over the years. And the book sort of, there are parallel tracks. There's the story of Marc as a child discovering, well, hard to say discovering that you were dyslexic because there wasn't even a word for it then. But overcoming everything that goes with that and, you know, getting incredible command of the language enough that he could do poetic, beautiful, compelling, memorable lyrics. So there's that track. And then there's the other part of the book is that you sort of get to wander with Marc and his cohorts through something like 50 years of the music business and kind of see behind the curtain and meet some very willful record executives and music producers and A-list studio players, and then Cher and Rod Stewart and Bonnie Raitt and Joe Cocker and all the people who covered Marc's music. I reached out to, among others, David Foster when we were working on this, and he was nice enough to talk to me for a little while about Marc. This is the kind of the pull quote, as we former amateur newspaper people say. This is from Foster. Marc Jordan has always been about uncompromising quality. Every musical encounter I've had with him has been amazing. He has a way of not doing the obvious, and that's what makes a great songwriter. You say it or you play it differently from everyone else. It's what we all strive for. So that seemed like a good thing to put on the back of the book. And we also got similarly glowing comments really from everybody that I spoke to, but also Bruce Hornsby and of course Rod Stewart, who, what does he call you, Marc?
My tiny sausage. Hello, my tiny sausage. Not my tiny sausage. And I have to call him Sir Rod.
With everything that implies. So I thought just to kick it off, to give you a little kind of peek under the hood at the book before we get into Woody Repartee, I would read a couple of chunks. The first one is from the introduction to the book. So this is kind of in my voice. When Marc Jordan asked me to write this book, I was honored, but stumped. How to authentically put into words a famous wordsmith's journey. How to tell the story of a born storyteller. It was a bit like being Ringo's drummer. But I saw the logic. Marc, dyslexic despite his many accomplishments as a lyricist, needed somebody he trusted to tell his story in print. Someone who wouldn't screw up the technical and legal aspects of the music business. Excuse me. So after a week of primary interviews conducted at the Jordan family cottage on Lake of Bays, during which Marc danced between sardonic commentary and disarming sincerity, sometimes in the same sentence, I went out into the wider music world to conduct secondary interviews with his army of famous collaborators. I talked with creators, I talked with promoters, I talked with singers, players, songwriters, I talked with producers, label bosses, radio people, famous people, infamous people, people who were influencers before there was such a thing. The one constant was everyone's awe of Marc's unbending commitment to originality. Anyone who's had the opportunity to write with Marc is a very lucky songwriter indeed. Marc understands music's most underappreciated truth, that a song is not words pegged to some notes. A song is a symbiotic entity in which the text and the tune are indivisible. The universe is made of space-time, songs are made of melody lyric. I can confirm that Marc's first drafts are often note perfect, and that he jealously guards their integrity, not because his ego is in play, because the synthesis of word, melody, harmony, mood that he craves is so fragile. It takes just one bad choice to upset it. Marc's methods and standards, indeed his very identity, were fired in the cauldron of his lifelong battle with dyslexia. As you'll read, his wife and children were the heroes who rescued him from a life of solitude. I thank Marc from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity to be his authorized biographer and fellow traveler. I thank Amy for her generous cooperation. I thank all the interviewees, many of whom are people I've admired for a very long time. They are the people who have helped stir the cauldron. I said cauldron twice, didn't I? Yes. I'm fired. Of popular music over the last 50 years, and they're all in this book, even one of Ringo's drummers, Randy Cook. So I went into the kind of the center of the book to one of the chapters that takes place in Los Angeles during the 80s. So picture a lot of hair, spray. I'm going to try and make it clear when I'm reading something Marc said and something from the text proper. So this is about Los Angeles. Ruinously polluted, newly beset with vagrants, and eccentric as only a fiefdom built on dreams can be, Hollywood circa 1985 was an unstable alleyway of its storied past and its corporate future. A generation away from its golden age, it was still the command center of the American imagination. Its cultural influence was incalculable, but the value of the domestic movie business was easily quantified. It was in the neighborhood of $4 billion then. And this is amazing to think. The music business was more than twice that size, at almost $10 billion. Marc, now a hyphenate, whose bio included multiple record deals and cuts for internationally known pop stars, was right there in the thick of things. There's so much history in Hollywood, said Jordan. It's like a living museum of American culture. When I first got there, the Hollywood sign was in disrepair. It got restored soon after. At the end of Beechwood Canyon was the Sunset Ranch. It's on the back of the same hill the sign is on. The first time I took a horse out and went up there, I thought, this looks awfully familiar. And I realized it's where they shot all the Hopalong Cassidy movies and the TV series I watched as a child. Madonna lived in Beechwood Canyon then, and Ray Manzarek, and Sheila E., Donovan, Mark Isham, and Ned Beatty too. They used to call Ned the mayor. Everyone used to eat at the Beechwood Cafe halfway up. Close quote. Even as he immersed himself in Hollywood culture, though, Jordan couldn't shake his feelings of alienation. For all its rewards, the move from Ontario's nascent pop scene to Los Angeles, the beating heart of the record business, had been like trying to jump into a moving vehicle. I found those first years in LA very hard, says Jordan. The transition from playing a wino bar in Ontario to living in Hollywood made my head spin. It was fun at times, but lonely. I was searching for where I'd fit in. I had enough money to live on, but I was in and out of deals all the time. I'll give you an example. I was on Arista Records briefly in '81. My publisher had been sending songs of mine to Clive Davis for one of his artists, and Clive asked for a meeting with me. So we got together at the Bel Air Hotel, and he signed me to a singles deal. I wasn't really doing anything else as an artist at the time, so I took the shot. I ended up recording 2 singles for Arista with David Bowie's former producer, Harry Maslin. Now, getting signed to Arista by one of the most illustrious entertainment executives in history sounds like the culmination of most people's music dreams. But for Marc, it was a blip. He actually didn't mention it the first round of interviews for this book. He says, quote, "That deal with Arista lasted 5 minutes. The business was like that, feast or famine. My trick was, when I was starving, I would drive up to Mulholland at night and stand there and look at all the lights down below. And I would think to myself, I cannot fail in this city. It's too big. It's too full of talented people. I'll be able to find my place here somewhere." And I did eventually. I got good. Maybe I wasn't ready to make records when I started making records, but I got to be a really good writer. Sometimes I still put on old demo reels from that era and think, okay, these are good. They're dated, but they're good. Close quote. Jordan was seldom on stage then. His days were spent alone, writing and rewriting songs for a recording career that was, for the moment, on hold. "I really felt inadequate when things weren't going well in California," he says. "I wasn't drinking absolutely all the time, but I was really getting blasted when I did drink."
It's okay if I read this part, right? What? Yeah.
I'd sit in the house working for a few days, then I'd go out and get juiced and drive drunk, and then go get some blow to sober up and be up all night. I'd always go out by myself. I had a couple of bars where I knew people, and everybody had blow. I realized later that I was deliberately making myself sick just so I could take a day off. I worked all the time, never stopped, so I'd go out and have a big night and be so hungover the next day I just couldn't work. That was my downtime. I was 37, and suddenly it hit me how lonely I was. All the relationships I had were superficial. Of course, that suited me in a way because I felt so bad about myself. A lot of it came from my feelings of low self-esteem. Because of dyslexia, I just found it hard to navigate life. One night, I was over at Jay Graydon's place. I used to go over there all the time, always at night. Jay's famously nocturnal, and he had a wine cellar, and he always had a little something extra. Jay himself was cool, he never overindulged. At the time, he was producing Al Jarreau, parenthetically, who by then had won 5 Grammy Awards in 3 different genres. And I remember, by the time I left that night, I was so high, I was at the point of giving Al Jarreau singing lessons. I thought, oh man, there's something wrong with this picture. So I did a little bump, got in my car, and on the way home, I fell asleep at the wheel on the Hollywood freeway at 4:30 in the morning, doing about 80 miles an hour. I was completely out of my mind. Close quotes. Here Jordan lingers for a moment. A lyricist to the core, he values economy and precision in interviews. And my assumption is that he's deciding how to couch the next dire event in his long journey to sobriety. What is really happening, though, is that he's found a true and concise end to the story. He resumes, "What saved my ass was Amy. That's the truth. I never went back to that behavior after I met her." And got the call.
Oh, geez. Well, Amy and I were having dinner at Beechwood Canyon, and the phone rang. And my dad had this saying, he was a singer, and whenever the phone rang, he'd go, "This could be the call." And for some reason, I said that. This could be the call. And he said to me, "This could be the call." And I got up and answered the phone. It was Rod Stewart. Marc. And the publisher, and he said they found this song right on my heart, which had been kicking around the office
For years now.
for years.
Yeah.
And so Rod was,
Tommy Solo's Famous Friends is a one-man production, meaning that I've done all the work, including recording, editing, guest acquisition, etc. The theme song for Tommy Solo's Famous Friends is a clip from my original composition, The Burn, all rights reserved. If you enjoy the show and you'd like to help us keep it going, why don't you click on the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes. Hit the like button, subscribe, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. And until next time, cheers.